After helping my neighbor rebuild his garage after a fire, he offered me a job at his workshop. I trusted him. Until payday came. "You're lucky you even got to learn from me," he said, tearing up my check. My family couldn't eat that week. A month later, he found out I wasn't just a helper, I was the reason. I'm a 38-year-old father of 3 living just outside of Fort Smith, Arkansas. Life's never been easy, but we've managed. I worked at a parts plant for nearly 11 years before they downsized. Since then, I've done what I could: roof repairs, hauling junk, handyman stuff. Not great money, but I know how to work, and I'm not afraid of it. My neighbor Chuck is an older guy, early 60s, runs a small machine and repair shop out of his detached garage. He's known around town for working on trailer hitches, engines, lawn equipment, stuff like that. Keeps to himself mostly. He's the kind of guy who wears the same oil-stained ball cap every day, smokes out back, and only talks to folks when he's got a reason to. One night I heard sirens. I looked out my kitchen window and saw orange flashing in the sky. Chuck's garage was on fire, full on flames. My wife yelled for me to stay back, but I ran down there barefoot. By the time I got to his yard, the fire trucks had just pulled up. His whole garage, everything, was going up fast. Chuck was pacing like a madman, red in the face, yelling at the firefighters, trying to get closer. "My tools are in there. My press. That's my whole damn living." They had to hold him back. The fire was ruled electrical. Faulty wiring, they said. Insurance was slow. Real slow. Over the next few days, Chuck was out there with a rake and a shovel, trying to clear burnt wood and twisted metal. I walked over with gloves and a cooler of water. Didn't ask for anything, just said, "You want help?" He looked at me like he didn't expect it. "You serious?" I nodded. "I've got time. Let's get it cleared." We spent the next few weeks rebuilding that garage. Every day after I dropped the kids at school, I'd walk over. We tore out what was left, hauled off metal, poured new concrete. I borrowed my cousin's flatbed to bring in lumber. My uncle helped us frame it. We even ran new wiring, clean and up to code. I treated it like it was my shop. Chuck kept saying, "I owe you big, and you're a good man." I started to believe maybe we were becoming friends. Once it was up and running again, he said, "You looking for steady work?" I said yeah, of course. He offered me a spot in his shop. Said I could help out with engine repairs, welding jobs, anything he needed. "We'll split it fair," he told me. 50-50 on side jobs. I get the big stuff, you help out, I show you a few things. You'll be better off for it. I didn't push for details. I just needed the work. So I started showing up 6 days a week. He didn't write anything down, but I figured a man's word should mean something. We fixed up a dozen things over those 4 weeks, 2 ATV engines, a busted boat trailer, some busted mower decks. I ordered parts, cleaned up, hauled scrap. He had me welding brackets one day, patching metal the next. I was dirty, tired, but I didn't complain. I even brought my own tools. At home, things were tight. My wife picked up extra shifts cleaning houses. My daughter needed new shoes, but we waited. I told them, end of the month we'll be okay. I got something steady now. Then payday came. I walked in that Friday around 3:30, same as always. Chuck was cleaning his lathe. I waited until he finished and then asked, "Hey, just wondering when we're settling up for the month." He looked at me like I'd said something funny. Then he reached in his back pocket, pulled out a check. He held it out. I reached for it. He pulled it back, and tore it in half. Then again. And again. He tossed the pieces into the trash can like it was nothing. "You're lucky you even got to learn from me," he said. "Guys pay for the kind of time I gave you. You think you're worth a paycheck?" I stood there, hands clenched. My heart was pounding, but I didn't say a word. I just turned and walked out. That night, we had rice and beans for dinner. No meat. I told my kids it was a fun camping meal. My wife didn't say anything for a long time, just stared at her plate. She finally whispered, "What now?" I didn't sleep that night. What Chuck didn't know is, I'm not just a helper. I've run jobs. I've pulled permits. I know how to weld and I know how to network. And I know when to keep my mouth shut until the time's right. So the next morning, I got up early and started making a list of everything. Every customer who came by the shop. Every job we did. Every corner he cut. Every time he pocketed cash instead of logging it. I also knew he was still taking payments through a Square reader tied to his old LLC. But that LLC was dissolved 2 years ago. I checked the state's business registry. I knew he hadn't updated his liability insurance either. He told me with a laugh, "Don't need it, I'm too good to screw up." And I knew exactly what kinds of parts he was ordering. Some of which, according to the EPA guidelines, aren't supposed to be reused after certain types of repairs. But he did anyway. Quietly. I wasn't looking for a lawsuit. I was looking to ruin his reputation. From the inside out. I didn't go back to the shop. I didn't text him. I acted like I'd just disappeared. Meanwhile, I started showing up at the local hardware store around town, talking to folks. Nothing direct. Just friendly questions. "Hey, how's that trailer Chuck fixed for you holding up? Did he ever get that lawnmower working for your cousin? Oh yeah? He's still charging cash only?" I wasn't spreading lies. I just asked the right questions in front of the right people. The kind of people who talk. Then I stopped by the town hall and had a quiet chat with the permit office. Told them I was thinking about opening a small home-based welding and repair business, wanted to know what kind of paperwork I'd need. The guy behind the counter gave me a whole list. Then said, "You'd be surprised how many guys around here don't bother doing it legal. We get complaints all the time." I shrugged. "I bet." Then I filed the paperwork under my name. Paid the fee. Set up an LLC. Called it Riverbend Fabrication. Made a Facebook page. Simple logo. I posted old pictures of jobs I'd helped on, not his, mine. Stuff I'd done on my own. I didn't lie. I didn't claim anything I hadn't done. Just said, honest repairs. Clear pricing. Licensed and insured. Within 2 weeks, I had 4 jobs booked. Small stuff, trailer hitches, a mower deck, a fence bracket. Word got around that I was the guy who helped Chuck rebuild after the fire. Nobody knew we'd fallen out. Then the first twist hit. A customer called me late one evening. "Hey, did you used to work with Chuck?" I hesitated. "Yeah, for a bit." He sighed. "He said you were stealing from him. That you took parts and disappeared." That stopped me cold. "He's telling folks that?" "Yeah. Told me not to trust you. Said you were trying to copy his business." I thanked the guy and hung up. That night, I sat down at my kitchen table and made another list. Names. People I knew Chuck had cut corners on. Folks he charged for work he didn't fully do. I wasn't going to ruin him with rumors. I was going to show people proof. I reached out to a guy named Daryl. He'd paid Chuck to rebuild a go-kart engine for his kid. Chuck had slapped a used carburetor in there and never told him. I offered to look at it for free. I showed Daryl the mismatched parts, the wear marks, the serial number stamped from another year. Daryl was pissed. Then I did the same with another guy, Joe, whose trailer kept breaking even after Chuck fixed the axle welds. Turns out Chuck had only tack welded them, not full welds. I redid it for a discount, and Joe took pictures. Word started spreading. Chuck must have caught wind, because the next Saturday, he pulled into my driveway in his old truck, tires squealing. My wife was watching from the front window. I stepped outside. He got out, slammed the door. "You spreading lies, boy?" he shouted. I didn't say anything. "I gave you a shot. Took you in when nobody else would. You turn around and steal my damn customers?" I didn't raise my voice. I just said, "You tore up my check, Chuck. You said I wasn't worth paying. I'm just proving you wrong." He got in my face, breathing hard. "You don't know who you're messing with." I looked him dead in the eye and said, "You're right. I thought I knew. Turns out I didn't." He left. But things weren't over. The next week, someone slashed my truck tires. Then my Facebook page got reported and temporarily taken down. Then a code inspector showed up at my house saying they got an anonymous tip about unlicensed welding on residential property. I smiled and showed them my business license, permits, insurance documents. Everything in order. The guy actually said, "Wow. Not many folks have it this tight." Chuck was trying to bury me. But he didn't know, I'd been digging longer than he had. A week later, I got a letter in the mail. Certified. From a lawyer. Chuck was threatening to sue me. The letter said I'd stolen intellectual property, violated a verbal partnership, and caused defamation of character. I sat there reading it at the kitchen table, with my wife across from me. She looked tired. She hadn't said much the last few days. Stress was eating both of us. "This scare you?" she asked. I shook my head. "He's bluffing. He doesn't want a court to look into anything." Still, I didn't want to take chances. I went to the town's legal aid office and showed them the letter. The woman there read it, laughed quietly, and said, "There's no case here. Just scare tactics. If anything, sounds like you should be filing something." I thought about it. About suing him. About taking it all the way. But something about that didn't feel right yet. I wasn't looking to get a payout. I was looking to take everything he thought made him powerful and turn it into smoke. Then came the twist I hadn't expected. Chuck's apprentice, his new one, reached out to me on Facebook. Kid named Randy, barely 22, fresh out of tech school. Said he was looking for real work. Real structure. Chuck had promised him a mentorship, same way he did me. Now the kid wasn't getting paid either. "I'm living out of my truck," he wrote. "I've been working there 3 weeks. He keeps saying, 'Next job, next job.' But it never comes." I told him to come by the shop I was setting up out back. He showed up the next day, eyes tired, arms greasy, with a backpack and a socket set. "I just want to learn," he said. "And get paid. Even if it's not much." I didn't tell him everything. Just said, "You'll get a check every Friday. I don't care if it's $20, it'll be clean and it'll be yours." We started taking jobs together. Word got around quick that I had help now, and that Chuck had another apprentice who bailed. That's when it started to unravel for Chuck. First, a county inspector visited his shop. Someone had reported unsafe welding tanks and improper ventilation. Then, a week later, his old LLC finally came under review. I didn't report it. But I knew someone who did. A guy whose mower Chuck fixed but never finished. Then came the big one. One of Chuck's longtime customers, an older guy named Hank, who owns a cattle trailer rental business, came to me. Said Chuck charged him for a full axle replacement and brake system redo. I asked if I could look. What I found was scary. Chuck had just slapped fresh paint on the old axles. No replacements. The brake system was barely holding. Could have killed someone on the road. Hank was furious. He contacted the sheriff and filed a formal complaint.